Alrighty, today is June 2nd, folks. June 2nd. Today is the day that we believe that Julio Jones is going to be traded. We haven't heard anything yet, but it's still a little early in the day, folks. A little bit noon Eastern. So we still got time for the trade to go down. We've already had a big breaking story with Danny Ainge and the Celtics, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But for Julio Jones, let's start looking at the cap space. That's something that we haven't really considered so far. We've just been kind of looking at the fit and where Julio Jones wants to go. But we've got an updated list of all the NFL teams' cap spaces here. This was updated yesterday, so I doubt too much has changed. I know the Bengals just signed Jamar Chase to his big deal, so maybe that takes into a little bit of an effect. But, overall, the numbers are really kind of in this range anyway. So let's take a look at the cap space for all the 32 NFL teams and see how the favorites of Julio Jones are going to be landing compared to what their cap space is. So the top five in cap space, Jaguars at number one at $39 million. They have all that cash to spend, and they want to bring in Tim Tebow. What's up with that? Can we get some good, proven talent, please? You've got the money to go out and get them, but Urban Meyer wants to clown around with his old pal from Florida and Tim Tebow. Not loving it. Broncos is second at $32 million. Look to see them kind of get that piece that they need. The OTAs are coming to a close. We're starting to get into that next phase of kind of the offseason, and we'll see what the Broncos can kind of do here and make a splash if there's any more free agents available at whatever position they need. The Jets, number two at $29 million. All that money, and once again, Robert Saleh isn't signing Richard Sherman, folks. That's real kind of telling on what Richard Sherman is currently at 33 years old. Probably still doesn't have it if Robert Saleh isn't signing him, because we know they have history with each other. The Bengals at the fourth at $24 million, and the Browns at the fifth at $21 million. So those are the top five of cap spaces there. But let's start talking about Julio Jones and what's the cap hit going to be. So we all know if the Falcons trade him after June 1st, which, it is after June 1st, and they have not traded him. So whenever they trade him, they are going to save $15 million against the cap. And that's real good for the Falcons because they are actually 31st in cap space at a laughable $357,000, folks. They don't even have $1 million to spend. They are working with thousands of dollars here. So this is huge. We know the trade is going to come, and it's definitely going to happen. They're going to free up $15 million in cap space, and this one move alone of trading Julio Jones here would move the Falcons from 31st in cap space all the way up to at least number 11 at $15 million. So that's a huge jump. More what they can do, more players that they can sign, more talent that they can acquire, because we already know they've got good pass catchers. Yes, Julio Jones is very good, but his health is starting to play a huge impact. His age, he is 33, starting to get up there. We just talked about it the other day. Randy Moss retired at like 32. Not really that great there, looking at what Julio Jones is going to be doing. But the fact that they can, let's go back to the Falcons receivers. They got Calvin Ridley, who we all believe in. I mean, he's A1 tier 1 already, folks. Absolutely getting it done. And then bringing in Kyle Pitts, that tight end that's basically a huge freaking wide receiver. Tall, fast, at the tight end position. So the Falcons aren't going to be they are going to be missing Julio Jones a little bit because, they take away that number one corner on Julio Jones, which once again frees up Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts. We get all that, but, they still have the weapons to be able to still be successful without Julio Jones. So trading him frees up $15 million in cap space, which is absolutely what they are looking to do here. Like we said, so now it's how is the cap space going to be acquired now? So we know that the Falcons are going to be saving $15 million, but what are the teams really going to be paying when they acquire him? So let's look at what they've got to spend here on kind of the front runners, the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Rams, the Titans. Those are kind of not the Seahawks. That's just something that's been talked about a lot. I don't truly believe in that, but let's see how those teams that are kind of making the big noise of acquiring Julio Jones, and let's see how they stack up. So let's start here with who we think is going to happen. The Titans, they're at the 29th. They're ranked number 29th in cap space with $3.3 million. Now, these teams don't need to have $15 million to get Julio Jones. They can bring him in and then restructure their contract. The cap space in the NFL is a little kind of hard to figure out, but we are in this kind of period, this offseason period right now. This is why they have to do it after June 1st, because this is when the period officially starts, where they can start breaking down money and splitting the money from this season, during this season, and next season. So they can bring in that $15 million contract of Julio Jones, split it around, maybe, say, all right, we're going to make $10 million that, a signing bonus, which isn't against the cap, and then only having this year's cap be, $3, $4, $5 million. They can maybe get it that low, $2-3 million. Potentially looking at $5 million. You probably need $5 million, at least $5 million in cap space to acquire him. So the Titans looking at 3.3. They would have to do a lot of kind of not loopholes, because that's what this period is for, to disperse the money. But Titans looking at $3.3 million. They may want to free up a couple more milli just to really be able to kind of do whatever they need to with that Julio Jones $15 million contract that they will have to split up between signing bonus and salary and this year and next year. So there is still some wiggle room here for the lower cap space teams to kind of work in how they can acquire Julio Jones. But Titans at $3.3 million. Potentially going there. The Rams at $7 million. I really think we were kind of deciding the two teams that we really think that Julio Jones is going to go to is either the Titans or the Rams. And now looking at kind of the cap space, I really think we're gonna make our final selection here, because we do believe the trade is going to happen at any moment. I think it's definitely going to happen at the end of this week, by Friday at the latest. I truly think it's going to happen today, though. But we are going to say that the Rams are our official pick of getting Julio Jones. $7 million cap space. That's plenty of money to acquire Julio Jones. That's fine right there. The reason why we like the Titans is because he was working out with Derrick Henry and everybody was recruiting him there. But the 3.3 is kind of giving us a little skepticism that they would be able to kind of make it work with that huge contract that they kind of have to disperse over the next 2 years. So the Rams at $7 million. Now, why the Patriots are so kind of front runners in all the odds that we have been seeing, they're the clear-cut favorites, is because they got $15 million in cap space. So, I mean, they've got plenty of kind of room to do whatever they need to do with that contract, split it up however they need to, signing bonus, front end, back end loaded, heavy front end loaded, it doesn't matter. The Patriots do have a lot of money to really work with, and they don't really have anything else to kind of go after. I mean, we already saw them make that big spending spree at the start of free agency, getting all those kind of tier 2 Alshon Jeffrey, those 2 tight ends, getting kind of tier 2 weapons at a decent price. And all the defensive players are returning last year that opted out because of the COVID season and all that. So the Patriots don't have that many more needs to fill, and they still have $15 million in cap space to spend. So that's probably why the Patriots are front runners at Julio Jones, just because of the math. It probably works out a lot better than what the Rams and the Titans would have to do to acquire him. And then who else are we talking about? The Seahawks. Where are they at? They're at $7.2 million in cap space. So once again, solid money there to acquire him. I just don't think that's the direction they're going to be heading. They've got great talent already. It's not like they need that true A1 tier 1 wide receiver, in our opinion. So we'll be keeping tracks on it. I'm hoping it breaks during the show. That's kind of what we're hoping for here. So far, has he been traded? Let's quickly look. We're 21 minutes in. Let's see if anything's been breaking. And it does not seem so, because it would be all over the timeline, and we are scrolling, and we are not seeing it yet. So, all right, the Julio Jones trade has not happened yet, but watch out for the Rams to go and try to get it. I really think they have enough cap space to get that. So, and then let's also talk about the Colts. Where are the Colts at? Because we know that, they are kind of in the contention as well. They're kind of middle of the field. I think the last time we checked, they were plus 1,000, which is, not the greatest odds there. But the Colts are having $14.7 million in cap space. And once again, what do the Colts need? They're already good at the wide receiver position. We do like T.Y. Hilton and Micah Pittman Jr., but, I mean, they've got the running backs. The offensive line seems solid. The defense, it was always great last year. So there's not really, once again, the Colts don't really have that much to really kind of build around. They still got $14 million to play with. So, once again, Julio Jones, solid landing spot here for the Colts. They can definitely definitely make the money work if they need to. So that's where we're at with Julio Jones. I'm truly expecting this trade to happen any minute. Like we said, they've been talking about it. It's just they had to wait until after June 1st. It's not like, all right, now we can start talking about it after June 1st. They've been talking about this. We knew this was a story. They're all been recruiting him for at least the last month, and we've just heard that, Julio Jones actually requested this trade a couple months before the news officially broke that, when Adam Schefter tweeted, hey, if they trade him after June 1st, then they'll save $15 million, and that really got the media ball rolling on this Julio Jones trade saga. So they've been talking about it, folks. They've been doing this behind the scenes for at least the last month. So there's really no more time to kind of waste. Why waste this time? Go make the deal. Get this man on your team as soon as possible. Free up that cap space for the Falcons as soon as possible so they can start kind of filling those other needs before those free agents kind of start drying up. And I would say it. If you say $15 million in Julio Jones, what do the Falcons need? A running back heavy? And we just heard Le'Veon Bell is going to take his time. So I really think Le'Veon Bell and the Falcons could be a great matchup here. They've already got the wide receiver weapons, but their running backs are truly lackluster. Mike Davis they have from the Panthers last year, who was a solid running back, but it was like 600 yards, and it was big shoes to fill in with Christian McCaffrey, obviously. But, that's their number one running back. And then Cordell Patterson. Everybody tries to make this man work as a running back, and he never does. I think his best rushing season was like 400 yards. Folks, he's truly not a number one running back. Absolutely not. Now, if he can be number two behind Mike Davis, but once again, Mike Davis himself isn't truly a number one running back in this league either. So I really think this Falcons team wants to get this deal done as quickly as possible to free up cap space to acquire potentially Le'Veon Bell, who I think would be a pretty solid fit here for Atlanta, trying to kind of not rebuild this team. Not really a rebuild, even though they're bringing in a new head coach and getting rid of the face of the franchise in Julio Jones, still keeping Matt Ryan. So it's not a total rebuild just quite yet. So let's see if they can kind of do something with this $15 million that they're going to free up. And let's see what they can kind of assemble with their team. But that's where we're at with Julio Jones. Truly, wait, I have the notification on, ESPN, whatever app you use, have that notification on, turn that volume up so you don't miss it, because it is truly going to come really any minute. And we're hoping it comes today, so we're right. So, but we'll see how that goes.